Hi, this is Kevin Trainer. Welcome to part 5 of my tutorial for the migrations coding assignment. Part 5 was unplanned, and here's how it came about that there's a part 5 now. Um, I had heard over the past couple of days from a few students that they were having a hard time with their part 4, that when they went to do the final migration to run the part 4 code, that it failed. So I invited them to come to online lab this morning, Sunday morning, and one student came and she walked me through her code. And it was pretty clear that her code was the same as the code that I had, although I needed to confirm that. And I began to suspect that there was a problem in the code that I had demonstrated as part of my tutorial. And so I invited her to wait and see while I reproduced the symptoms and came up with a solution. So at this point, I have reproduced the symptoms. It is a problem with my code as I demonstrated it. I can't really account for the fact that we haven't found it previously. We've been using this code for over a year. So you would think that we would have discovered this before. Either I would have, or students would have, or there have been an assortment of TAs that I've worked with at more than one school. I would have thought we had found it, but we didn't find it. It may be that some prior versions of Django were forgiving of the error that I had, and they did something reasonable despite the fact that I had the wrong code. In any case, it's failing now and we need to fix it. So let's take a look at how it's currently failing, okay? Um, it's currently failing in that we can't get the last migration to run. So let's run the manage Pi task, okay? Get that started. All right. And let's show migrations. Okay, we do that. And as you can see, I've been able to do the forward migration on 004 semester data, 005 period and schema data, 006 year schema and data, but not 007 semester schema and data conversion. So let's look at that one. Let's try to run that one. So let's say migrate course info 0007, and we get an exception. So what essentially happens when you chase this down is you find out that I'm trying to I'm converting the semester table, okay? Because whenever you add a column to a table on the fly, uh, uh, it's done with an alter table, and what happens is that as soon as you add a new column, you kick off a conversion. Now, this happens when you do a number of things that are implemented by alter table, but and so what's happening is that we're in the conversion, and we're not getting this thing to work the right way. Okay, um, and the problem is that when we set up the values for we had an extra entry in both the period table and the year table that that the new column of values were supposed to be set to before we went through and did a real conversion and connected them with the proper year and the proper period. Okay, and unfortunately, we tried to port to them with a foreign key that was the wrong foreign key, and how that was working for a while, I don't know. Okay, so what do we do? Well, absolutely, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to back off all of the migrations that we've done in this assignment. Why is that? Well, you'll remember that migrations have to work backwards and forwards. Okay, so if you're going to change code, all right, you don't want to change the code and then try to back it off because you're backing it off using the new code. So if you want to back off a migration, like let's say show migrations, if we want to potentially change 4, 5, 6, or 7, we had better get it back to 3. So I'm going to say migrate course info 0003. This is really important, and I can't emphasize this enough because you can get yourself to the point where you've written the new code, you have the right new code, but then you realize you had to back out the older migration, but the new code won't back out the older migration. Okay, you can really get yourself sort of up the creek without a paddle. So you don't want to do that. So before you change any code, make sure you back out such that if you do a show migrations, you're going to be on migration. What is for me migration 3? For you, it might be a different number. Okay. And all of the migrations that we're doing for this assignment are unapplied. Okay? Do that. Pause. Come back. All right? Okay. All right. Now we're back. Now, what are we going to fix? Well, we have to fix some kind of foreign key problems. Okay? So let's look at each of the programs. Let's look at 4. Okay, now 4, we were just adding further semesters to the table to show that it could be done. This is the old version of the semester table. My test data at this point had semesters in 2017 and 2018, and this just added 2019 to 2020. Okay. Now, I did discover a little bit later that I'd forgotten about the test data that was in 2017, so that created a problem for us. Okay, but not here. These are just some extra data that we put into that table, and it's in good shape. Okay, so we're not changing this one. Okay, what about this 005 period schema and data? Yeah, we do. So what's our problem? Well, our problem is when we go, after we create the table and after we populate it like this, during the conversion of the semester table, we're trying to point to these values, and we're trying to point to this temporary value using the key value 9999. Well, that's not its key value. What's its key value? Well, the primary key for periods is auto-incremented. And so this first one is 1, 2, 3, 4. So what's happening is that we should be telling it to, when it does the conversion, to point to value 4, which is our temporary value, and we'll come back and fix it later. Instead, we're telling it to point to value 9999. and there is no primary key 9999, and it blows up. Okay, now how can we fix this? Well, one kind of interesting way to fix this would be to go down into the converting program and say, well, we're not looking for a foreign key value 9999. We're looking for a foreign key value 4. The thing I don't like about this is that what if we came back and we wanted to add some other values uh, beyond spring, summer, and fall? We wanted to add, sometimes we have this kind of interim semester in January and that kind of stuff. Well, if we added one more period, well, then we'd have the problem that it would push out this temporary value. It would become 5. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to move this from where it is. We're going to do a cut, and we're just going to put it up at the beginning of the list. That's all we're doing. Okay? So, and so now we're going to be pointing to entry 1. Okay? So that's a good, reliable place. Do you like that? So let's look. I need to look up my notes here to confirm that's the only thing we're changing there. And we are. So we didn't do any changes on what's my number 4, semester data. We made this one change in 005 period schema and data, and then all we did was to move the last of these dictionaries that are in the list. This is a list of single entry dictionaries. We took the last one and we made it the first one. It's the only change we made. Okay. All right. So that's fixed. Now we're going to make a similar change in the next one. So that's 0006 for me. Year schema and data. Okay, so we've got the same problem in the conversion code. We're trying to access this this entry using the key 9999, and it should be key 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's move it to the beginning of the line, and let's make it a reliable key 1. Okay, that takes care of that. And I'm also going to get rid of that one extra line that I have there. Okay, that's fine. Am I done? Well, I would be done, except that I found that once I did all the fixes I needed to do here, I was trying to convert some semesters from 2017, but I didn't have a year 2017. So the other thing we're going to do here is we're going to copy 2018 so that there are 2 copies of it. And we're just going to make the first one 2017. Okay, and so now when we're trying to convert semesters that happened in 2017, we're going to have a year to hook them up with. Okay, so that's it. In 0006 for me, year, schema, and data. We're going to move the dictionary for the year 9999 to the head position in the list, the first position of the list, and then we made a dictionary entry for 2017. That one's done. All right, so now we're down to the final migration. Okay, so that's for me 0007 semester schema and data conversion. Okay, now there are 3 changes I want you to make in here. Change 1. All the changes have to do with this migration class. You can see that there's a squiggly gray line under the class migration. In my code, I've got too many blank lines preceding it. There should be exactly 2. It's a class. I should have 2 blank lines before it. I've got 4. So I'm going to get rid of 2 blank lines. and then that squiggly gray line's going to go away. Okay, you might not have had that problem. And then I'm going to go down here, and where things need to be changed here is where I do these two add fields, right? One for where we add the year column to the semester table, and the other where we add the period column to the semester table. And their default keys are currently the wrong value. They say they're 9999, but we want them to be 1. So I change the first one to 1, and I change the next one to be 1. Okay? So here, just to review, we came in and I got rid of the extra blank lines in front of the migration class, so I would get rid of my PEP 8 style warning. And then I came down under operations, and the second and third entry are the add fields for the year column on the semester table and the period column on the semester table. And we wanted to say that their default values during the conversion are equal to 1. Okay, this is the kind of thing you only do for the conversion. If you look down here lower, we actually take the default values off of these two before we're done. Okay, we just don't have a default value on either one. It really only makes sense for the conversion. Okay, all right, so now we've got all our code saved. All right, and let's come down here and let's do a show migration so we know what migrations are not applied. Okay, and if everything's been fixed, we ought to be able to go from 3 all the way to 7. So we ought to be able to say migrate course info 0007. Let's see that run. Like shooting fish in a barrel. How about that? Everything worked. Okay, so now that everything's worked, let's just take a look at the results. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a look at the database itself. So if you'll hang on for 1 second, I'm going to go find the SQLite client app. Be right back. And we're back. So I've got the SQLite Studio up and running, and I'm pointing to the database, the right copy of the database, and I'm doing a refresh selected database schema on that one. And let's see, let's go to year, and we can see we have the year ID in the year, and let's look at the data. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. Is there one of those phony conversion values? No, that had year ID 1, but at the very end of the conversion, we got rid of that. So there's nothing with year ID 1. That was just for the conversion. And let's go to the period and to the data. And then we've got spring, summer, and fall, but they are period ID 2, 3, and 4. What happened to the primary key equal to 1? Well, that was the phony version that we had just to make the conversion work, and we got rid of that at the very end of the last of the migrations as well. So now we have the data that we want, and if we go and we look at semester, and we look at the data, you can see that we've got the semester ID, but then we've got two foreign keys. We've got the year ID and the period ID. Okay, and if I'm going to get rid of this. Let's go look at this in the application. So let's do a run server. Okay. And we're gonna, that came up on another monitor, so let's bring it over here. Okay. So we're gonna run server. And let's look at semesters. And we've got 2017, spring, summer, fall, 2018, spring, summer, fall, 2019, spring, summer, fall, 2020, spring, summer, fall. Okay. And here's a reminder. We decided to leave the semester as it is here. Okay. And when you go to create a new semester, you pick a year and you pick a period. But you'll notice that we don't have year and period as things that you're able to modify within our application. Well, how would we be expected to do this? Well, we would be expected to go to admin. This would be a thing that a system admin would do for us. We'd go to admin. Okay, and then we'd have to log in. So tester, I know, is there. So we'd go there. Okay, and then we could go to periods. Okay, so we've got spring, summer, fall. If we wanted to change those, we would do it here in the admin app. Okay, or if we wanted to do years, if we wanted to add years after 2020, we'd do the same thing. We would add a year right here in the admin app. So that's how we'll do that. So that's working fine. I just want to come back to manage.py again, and let's do a show migrations. Okay, and you'll see, you should be able to see that we're all the way down through 0007, right? That's fine. Now let's try to back them all out, all the way to 3. So they should be able to all back out and all be reapplied. Let's see that work. Migrate course info 0003. So that's going to back them off. Okay. And then we can say migrate course info 0007. And that's going to apply them all again. So they all run backwards and forwards. There's no problem. How we got along having a problem in that code for that length of time, and me not seeing it, students not seeing it, TAs not seeing it, I don't know. It's just the vagaries of the code world. Okay, but if you make the changes that I'm showing you here, you should be able to get things to work for the migrations coding assignment. And to the extent that I frustrated you with my code, I apologize. So I'm going to say bye until next time. Bye-bye.